Ready to go live? Okay.
What's wrong?
All right, good evening. It is 5:31. It is Thursday, March the 4th, and I call the meeting of the Town of Spencer Board of Aldermen pre-agenda meeting for the month of March to order. With that, we will start with an invocation, and I will give that this evening. Please bow. Father, we thank you so much for our many, many blessings. We thank you for the work of this town, its staff, and we thank you for the work of this board. Thank you for the leadership that all of our town employees and our board display. We appreciate your guidance. We ask that you be with us tonight in the decisions that we make, and also again on Tuesday at our monthly meeting. Be with us, grant us wisdom, grant us discernment as we move forward in our business. Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, very good. We've got a few things to cover tonight. First being walking through our agenda for Tuesday night's regular meeting. And so with that, the first item on Tuesday night's agenda will be recognitions. And what recognitions do we have that we want to make on Tuesday? I believe I heard last meeting we want to recognize John Softly.
Yes, and we need to do something other than just in addition to a verbal recognition, in my opinion.
Okay, we can ask, Peter, can we ask Tammy to prepare one of the proclamation statements like we've done in the past?
And the other, should we check with Mr. Softly perhaps, would you like him to be present, or is it something that?
If he would like, yes.
I don't think it's a necessity
Sure.
that he be, but if he would like to be, that would be great. And are there any other recognitions as well?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I've got a couple if you don't mind.
Okay,
Fire department will recognize some fire people, outstanding fire people, and I think it'd be good to have our chief to recognize those folks if we could.
okay. So have Chief Lanning here to make those
Recognize a few
recognitions?
of the folks. I kind of sets up to him ahead of time.
Okay.
He said he thought that was a good idea.
Okay,
If I may, there was also recently some recognition on the police department,
Police department,
and it could be, we do something similar for both departments.
yeah, I
Okay.
think so too. Good idea.
Good idea.
very good. Any others?
And another shout out to Joel Taylor and his crew for the great job they did on the pruning of the grape myrtles and digging out all that stuff in the boxes. So,
Okay, Sam, I will let you do that on Tuesday then.
okay.
Okay. Any others? All right, very good. Thank you all. All right, so we will walk through the agenda now. Peter, have we gotten any public comment yet for this
Not by
upcoming
now.
meeting? Okay, so we'll monitor that, see if we have any that comes in between now and Tuesday. Other thing, keep in mind as we go through this agenda, let's be sure to flag any items that need to be put on the consent agenda. You do have the meeting minutes that have been included. Are there any updates that we need to include in those minutes to have a revised set before Tuesday? Pat, I assume you had a chance to review them.
I did review them
Okay.
all, yeah. And Tammy and I talked, there was one thing that I had suggested, but she had taken it directly from a report, and so I said, leave it with the report then.
Okay. All right, hearing none, we'll assume those are correct unless you identify anything.
One,
Yeah.
just one on the last page of the minutes for regular meeting February 9th. You have on here acquisition of real property, move to purchase the vacant lot at 1411 South Salisbury Avenue.
Yes.
Is that address correct?
I think that was the address of the letter that turned out to be a different property.
Right.
And thank you, that should be,
Oh,
I
Five
believe
something.
it's 520.
Right.
Five something.
sorry, I didn't catch that.
Might have to let you go.
No, let me
You
go, let me go.
You sliding.
Y'all can fire me.
No, we'll keep you on for a little bit longer.
Yeah, so Peter will get that corrected for Tuesday night.
It is
Correct
a
address.
challenge to go through. these.
Well, yeah.
Sometimes I have to
Hey,
go back and
no-
look at
no
the
judgment
meeting-
here.
Look at the meeting again.
Okay, if there's anything else that you identify between now and tomorrow, let us know, and that way we can get those updated. All right, next item will be consideration of adoption of the personnel policy, and that attachment is in, that separate document is in your packet. This should be a regular agenda item, not consent agenda. Does everybody agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, consideration of adoption of surplus property resolution 21-001 for the surplus canvas awnings, that's attachment 3. And again, I suggest that this be a regular agenda item, simply so that we can cover it, so that the public is aware of the opportunity to purchase those surplus awnings from Park Plaza. Next item is consideration of adoption of surplus property resolution 21-002 surplus police vehicle. And that is attachment 4. And that is our 2002 Ford Crown Victoria.
Yes,
It really was purchased for $350.
it was a twice or 3 times used vehicle that, yes, was purchased. It was already very used when we got it.
I'm just disappointed that you couldn't make it another 189 miles.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen now and then.
Yeah, of course.
If you gave $350, I wonder what you gave it for.
So consent agenda item?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next item is consideration of an amendment to the town's classification schedule to add the position of a part-time office assistant. This was previously mentioned by Mr. Franzese. And that is in attachment 5. And the job description is there. Is that something we want to hold for regular agenda or move to consent agenda?
Well, I only had one question in regards to it.
Mhm.
We're using a person part-time, but it's a full-time position, correct?
We are currently, we currently have somebody who is working full-time through the temp agency. They were brought on when we were short-staffed. Now that we have a finance officer here, we don't know that we necessarily need, at this time, a full-time position, but we believe we could benefit from somebody coming on in a part-time capacity. So what we're asking for is a part-time position at this time. And if you approve this addition, then we would post the position and seek applicants.
But the budget line is for a full-time office assistant, correct?
No, we believe, what we're asking for is for you to add this to the classification plan,
Right.
which gives it a grade and a job description. We have funding available in the current budget to cover the cost of this part-time position at this time. So we're not, there is no specific line in the budget for this position, but we are asking you to identify that in our schedule and then allow us to use current funding to have somebody join us part-time.
So rather than paying for a full-time temp, where we're not paying benefits because the temp agency is handles all of that. Now what we're saying is we're gonna back that down to a part-time position, still not paying benefits.
So Peter, what positions that are administratively in the front office that you are occupying right now? Ms. Hutchins is full-time, right?
Yes,
And then the finance person is full-time, correct?
yes,
And so all you're asking for is just for the other individual, for her to just be part-time, right?
that's
And how
correct.
those two positions are full-time positions and,
That's
Okay.
correct.
all right, I follow you.
So if you wanna have more discussion on this, we can certainly hold it for regular agenda, or we can place it on consent agenda. What's the preference of the board?
Consent is good.
Consent.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, and then we'll have our departmental reports. Anything we need to be aware of this evening, Peter?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, the town manager report will be next. Anything you want to bring up this evening?
I actually would, if that's okay.
It's okay with me, if it's okay with the board.
So the first thing mentioned in the report is about the Lead for North Carolina program. That was something I mentioned previously, and the good news is last Friday, we received news that Spencer was selected to be a host site for Lead for North Carolina. It's a program that places recent college graduates in high-impact positions and local governments across the state to work on what they're looking for is transformative community projects for 1 year. I have a video that will take 2 minutes. If we could cue that up, and then you can, they can tell a much better job about the program than I could.
The idea that you have to move to a big city to be successful is just extremely prevalent for young folks right now. And I think a lot of that has to do with that's where the money is and that's where organizations are. And what gets lost in that is that rural areas have such strong and supportive and tight-knit communities.
Lead for North Carolina is a fellowship program that places recent college graduates in local governments across our state.
It takes young people with a passion for service and places them in roles where they can have an immediate impact.
It's working to help them get an understanding of what public service is and pursue careers in that field.
And then really targeting rural and tier 1 communities. So we are going where the need is greatest.
It's extremely difficult for communities in Tier 1 County to attract young professionals.
Local government needs good people, needs smart people, and people who want to be here. We were lucky enough to be selected, and we received a great fellow in Leon Braley.
Saoirse has been working on a number of projects for us,
Sean's working on hurricane resiliency,
minimum housing codes.
A public safety communication radio system.
coronavirus. He's working a continuation of operations plan.
Helping us with social media.
Our Department of Social Services building project.
She's been able to move projects ahead that have been sitting on the shelf for a while.
It's the impact that you can immediately see that really drew me to local government, because you sit in an office in DC, you could be making a huge difference, but you never interact with people that you're making that difference for.
The Lead for North Carolina experience has been really meaningful to me in a lot of ways. I think it's taught me more about what it means to be a North Carolinian. Learning more about the different challenges and opportunities here in Elizabeth City has helped me better contextualize what public service means.
If you come in and you want to have an impact on a community and you are making it a better place to live or just strengthening it, that is success.
Go Tar Heels.
That's right out of the
It was good up to that point.
Gone all night without that.
So this is a partnership with the UNC School of Government, the North Carolina League of Municipalities, the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, North Carolina City and County Management Association. They're also working to get some additional funding through AmeriCorps. But the great news about this is the cost to host a fellow is heavily subsidized through this programming, and they identified that our cost for the first year of this would be about $13,000. The rest of the costs, which they estimate to be about $46,000, would be covered through other resources. They're pursuing additional funding through AmeriCorps that would actually increase that subsidy somewhat if it was successful, and they believe it will be June once that is known. But this, to me, was an outstanding opportunity. We were invited to apply, and I was thrilled that we were considered a successful host site. They've asked for us to let them know by the end of the day tomorrow if we're willing to commit. And so we don't necessarily need any board action at this time, but I would hope you may provide your consensus so that I can tell them that we are able to commit, and then we can plan accordingly with the budget process. They would start work here in August and be here for initially a year appointment. It would be 11 months this year. They spend the first 2 months doing some training before they get here. And then you have the opportunity to renew for another year if you would like with a lower subsidy. I have a colleague from grad school who's an assistant city manager at Apex. And he said that they're currently working with a fellow this year, and they're thrilled. They said recent college graduates that have high skills in analytical work and research work, and they are planning to move that person they currently have into a full-time position in the next year and host a new fellow for next year. So that's just something I heard from somebody I know who's currently working with the program. They could put Spencer on the map in a good way to participate in this.
Exactly. Now, that's fine with me. Who will make the ultimate decision in terms of where the student will focus his or her attention? Would that be you, or would it be, wherever the need is?
Yeah, so what we would do is, I've sent some suggestions, and when we applied, we suggested some typical projects. We will refine that about what, but based on feedback from you and from staff, we want to put together a work plan for the fellow. The other thing is, if we indicate our commitment, they will give us a candidate preference survey to better understand what our needs are. And then they'll tailor their recruitment efforts to meet our needs and give us a candidate pool in April that we will be able to interview several candidates and I believe, come up with a match for us for the next year.
That's good.
Will we furnish housing for the individuals?
That hasn't been clear in anything so far. We have a webinar next week that I think might get into some of that. It probably depends whether there's a need for housing. They did not indicate anything that was going to be a requirement, but and if it is, then we'll have to figure out what that looks like.
You're moving. You kidding?
If I got a basement.
So
You got
this
room.
I might
program,
have to clean out some of the rooms there.
so this
You
program
got
that,
room.
so this program that you guys that you're trying to bring here, is it something, I mean, it's obvious that you need to find out more if you don't know if we have to provide certain things for them. So I'm just trying to figure out what is it you're trying to bring to us to make us get a consensus on if I'm still not clear what, other than that video.
We have to let them know by March the 5th if we're interested in hosting.
Hosting what though? I mean, what are we doing exactly?
To bring that person on to work on projects. Basically, they will be like an employee of the town, assisting in whatever duties we give them for a year. And so I think the thought is we've got all these projects that are going on, and we've got quite a few different opportunities to plug them in. There's an ability to, or an opportunity for us to plug them into some grant writing opportunities probably. There's plenty of work to put somebody like this to work with everything we have going on.
One of the ideas that I think would be really good for this is to try to help develop the partnership in our downtown merchants and our other local groups so facilitate their communication and teamwork. And I mean, there's all sorts of ideas. It's going to be more of a challenge to narrow it down to a workable scope, I believe. And so, yeah, so they do want us to indicate our commitment. We found out last Friday night, since you had this meeting this evening, I thought this would be a helpful time for y'all to indicate whether we still felt.
Well, it's not enough time, but okay. I mean, you just hit us with something that we gotta get ready to make a decision on that we have to fund and pay for and not know if it takes housing and all this other stuff that's clear as mud right now. So just trying to figure out I hear what the mayor is saying, Jonathan is saying, but it's still not clear to me enough of bringing a person on and bringing other people on kind of thing. And it's fine, obviously if the town can support it and fund it, the community money can fund this thing. I'd just like to know what we're agreeing. I swore I would never be on the board and agree to do something I'm not sure of. And that's where I'm at right now. I don't know what this is other than, okay, it sounds good.
Well, since they would be getting a salary and, et cetera, it's highly unlikely we would be providing housing.
And they did not specifically
Yeah.
specify that.
I
What they
mean-
did specify was salary, employment taxes, health insurance, and then,
training,
right.
yeah.
So we're giving them benefits too?
they're
Well,
technically a full-time
it's
employee.
costing us $13,000 for a $46,000 package.
They estimate that the cost for that entire package is $46,600, and they say we will receive a minimum subaward of $33,200. It may be more. So
Yeah.
they're gonna subsidize it. So the maximum amount that it would be, cost the town would be $13,400, potentially less if they get that additional AmeriCorps funding.
And this person is gonna be here just for
He
year.
miscellaneous needs.
No, he or she will have a defined, assignment.
Yes, it is not intended just to have them show up and find something to do. I mean, we're going to have a specified work plan and things we want this person to accomplish. And the other side of the coin is it's a way for us to support future local government staff and their career development. I think it's a good opportunity to be a part of and finding the next generation of public service leaders. Folks can go through this program for a year or maybe two, and then maybe they'll decide they want to go further their education, or they want to continue in the workforce, or it's a great opportunity for everybody involved.
Okay.
Well, I'm for it. I think it's great. I think it'll be wonderful to have a fresh face in the, working with you and that you can mentor and work with, and I just think it's a great opportunity.
All right. So based on that, I think, Peter, it would be appropriate if there was a motion made to direct, that the town is willing to host an intern.
Make a motion that we host this stuff.
I'll second it.
All right, there's a motion by Mr. Miller, and there's a second by Mr. Morgan. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, all opposed? All right, that is approved unanimously. Thank you, Peter. That'll be exciting.
Thank you. Be updated.
All right, next item on the list for Tuesday's meeting is consideration of the new town logo. In your packet, printing quality is not that great. The colors are a little off, but you also, I think, got the digital copy. So we can have some discussion on Tuesday night about that. They did come up with some different alternatives, and hopefully we're to a point that we can pick one or two of those and go with it. So we'll have discussion on that. We'll keep that on the regular agenda, if that works for the board. All right, consideration of budget amendment 21-003.
There are several budget amendments in your packet. The first one is related to the planter box project. You identified last time willingness to support. These are the costs that have come in for the plantings. There's some additional costs that will come for the soil and preparation of the planter beds and such, but for now, we wanted to, this is the budget amendment for the plantings.
And that's based on what we had directed at the last meeting. So is there any question about that? Or are you okay with putting that on consent agenda?
Consent.
I agree, consent.
All right.
The next one is, the library recently had a sale, within the last few months and it raised $101, so we're wanting to apply that amount to, purchase of books.
Consent.
Consent.
Yeah.
And the one with the fire department is to recognize the donation received for Woodman Life for the fire department, which they'll be able to use for uniforms and training.
Consent.
Consent.
And then the final one is to record the grants and donations received for the Yankton Riverville project. Was, I believe, previously some funding, and this is some funding that hadn't been recorded yet of about $11,000 combined. So that's just to add that to that project.
Consent.
Consent work for everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Next item is a new member that has applied for the zoning and, or planning and zoning board of adjustment, and that's Donna Redford. And we will hold that one. Well, let me ask you this. Do they have a meeting on Monday night?
If they have a meeting Monday night.
She'll be a wonderful addition, anything she
Yeah,
does.
she will. If they need people anyways.
Sure.
I could see her even running for board someday. We should get to.
I'm pretty sure it is Monday.
Well, Monday would be their next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, for those purposes, and based on the fact that they need additional members to make sure they have a quorum, I would propose that we go ahead and approve her appointment tonight.
Great.
I make the motion.
All right, motion by Ms. Hovis to appoint Donna Redfern to the Planning and Zoning Board of Adjustment. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any further discussion? All in favor? All right, all opposed? All right, she is appointed unanimously. And Peter, I assume that Kyle will be in touch with her to make sure that she knows to be there on Monday.
We will make sure.
All right, very good. That is it. Is there anything else that we need to add on the agenda?
Oh, I need to ask, because we were going through personnel so fast, I forgot. The clerk, are we anywhere with that yet? You were interviewing for a clerk.
We are, and we anticipate making an announcement next week.
Hot dog.
All right.
Very good.
All right.
All right. All right, with that, there is a need tonight to go into closed session to discuss purchase of real property per NC General Statute 143-318.11, Section A5. Is there a motion to go into closed
So
session?
moved.
Motion by Ms. Hovis. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor? All right. That is approved unanimously. We are now in closed session.